Leadership through vulnerability and transparency. In today's session, we want to briefly discuss two fundamental principles that lie at the heart of effective leadership: vulnerability and transparency. In an era where trust in institutions and leaders is fragile and skepticism towards authority is widespread, the need for vulnerability and transparency has never been more urgent. You and I live in a world where strength and invulnerability are top-of-the-shelf attributes of leaders that succeed. Everyone in any leadership organization or institution would certainly agree, being a strong leader is an important trait for personal and organizational effectiveness. However, we firmly believe that true leadership is also rooted in authenticity, empathy, and the courage to be vulnerable and transparent. As leaders, we are often conditioned to project an image of unwavering confidence and competence. We feel the need to have all the answers, to never show weakness, and to always be in control. But the truth is, none of us have all the answers, and pretending otherwise only serves to create barriers between ourselves and those we lead. Vulnerability is the willingness to expose oneself, to be open and authentic, even when it means risking criticism. In leadership, vulnerability means acknowledging one's limitations, admitting mistakes, and showing empathy towards others. Vulnerability further fosters trust and creates genuine connections with those we lead. Embracing vulnerability in leadership means acknowledging our limitations, admitting when we don't have all the answers, and being open to feedback and collaboration. It means having the courage to be authentic, to show our humanity, and to connect with others not just professionally, but also personally and emotionally. Psychologists tell us that what makes us human beings is comprised of our thoughts and our emotions, that impacts or influences our behaviors and actions. In other words, before we can take action about a situation, we first think about it. The thought is connected physiologically to how we feel, that ultimately influences our actions or behaviors. No one is perfect. Therefore, everyone is vulnerable because none of us gets everything right all the time. Brené Brown, research professor at the University of Houston and author of Daring Greatly: How the Courage to be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, and Parent, emphasizes that vulnerability is not weakness, but rather, our most accurate measurement of courage. A vulnerable leader is one who can admit their mistakes, that further creates a safe environment where team members feel comfortable doing the same. A leader that is honest about their own shortcomings will create a culture of openness and learning. Brown's research has shown that leaders who are willing to be vulnerable and take risks are more likely to build trusting relationships, encourage innovation, and foster a culture of creativity and growth. Brown also notes, authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. Dr. Daniel Goleman, renowned psychologist, and author of the groundbreaking book Emotional Intelligence, adds that being vulnerable also means being emotionally intelligent. Goleman says that leaders who are emotionally intelligent can recognize their own emotions and those of others, which allows them to navigate difficult situations with greater ease, and create more meaningful connections with their team members. Simon Sinek, renowned author and motivational speaker, also believes in the power of vulnerability in leadership. In his book Leaders Eat Last: Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Don't, Sinek argues that leaders who are willing to be vulnerable and share their weaknesses and struggles can create a sense of safety and trust within their teams. This, in turn, leads to greater collaboration, creativity, and success. Sinek further notes that vulnerability can be uncomfortable, but it's worth it. Sinek goes on to say, embrace the discomfort and use it as an opportunity for growth and learning. When we embrace vulnerability as leaders, we create an environment where trust can flourish. Trust fosters a culture of transparency, empathy, and mutual support, where everyone feels valued and respected. Furthermore, embracing vulnerability allows us to tap into our creativity and innovation. When we are willing to take risks and make ourselves vulnerable, we open ourselves up to new ideas and perspectives. We become more adaptable and resilient in the face of challenges, and we inspire those around us to do the same. But perhaps most importantly, embracing vulnerability in leadership allows us to forge deeper and more meaningful connections with those we lead. When we are willing to be vulnerable with others, it creates a sense of shared humanity and builds bonds of trust and empathy. It enables us to truly understand the needs and concerns of our team members, or those we lead, and to support them in reaching their full potential. It is extremely important to know that embracing vulnerability in leadership is not a sign of weakness, but rather a demonstration of strength and determination. It is about being authentic, empathetic, and open to the possibilities that come with embracing our humanity. Therefore, a leader that is confident and competent in their leadership identity is able to embrace being vulnerable not as an obstacle to overcome, but as an opportunity to connect and lead with compassion and integrity, making the organization better and more effective in the process. Equally important in today's session is transparency in leadership. Transparency, as it is with vulnerability, is the cornerstone and pillars of a healthy organization and a crucial component of good governance that further fosters trust. Transparency is about being open and honest in our actions and communications. Transparent leaders share information freely, explain their decisions, and welcome feedback. They operate with integrity, knowing that transparency builds credibility and cultivates a culture of accountability within their organizations. Transparency can be challenging. Many leaders often worry about the way their team will react to certain types of information. No leader wants to be challenged, or have members of their team to disagree with their ideas, vision, or direction for the organization. However, real transparency often means sharing uncomfortable truth that begins many times with the leader. If a leader assumes that those they lead can't handle certain information, that leader is unconsciously creating a wall that causes separation and division, rather than uniting the organization. That particular leader either believes that they are more intelligent and stable than other team members, or worries that transparency gives them less authority and power over the team. Both beliefs are symptoms of a deeper problem, an insecure leader. Some signs of an insecure leader may include feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, feelings of uncertainty, anxiety about relationships, poor decision-making, poor communication skills, and sometimes a pretentious, arrogant attitude. An insecure leader may also have difficulty receiving feedback that, when utilized well, can assist with the process of organizational health. Encouraging a cycle of feedback strengthens teams, but insecure leaders feel threatened when their team members have ideas that may be better than their own. If you encounter an insecure leader that you must work with, don't take their lack of confidence as a reflection on yourself. Find opportunities to help them overcome their insecurities. Sometimes you have to help people, without them knowing, that you are helping them. In other words, be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. Transparency fosters and cultivates accountability. When leaders operate in the open, they are compelled to justify their actions, to explain their reasoning, and to face the consequences of their decisions. Moreover, transparency promotes inclusivity. It's not enough for leadership to claim to act in the best interests of those they lead. They must demonstrate it through their actions, through transparency, and through genuine engagement with people in the organization. Stephen Covey once stated, "While you can think in terms of efficiency in dealing with time, a principle-centered leader thinks in terms of effectiveness in dealing with people." Transparency, when practiced, can be a part of the foundation by which both can be increased. When information flows freely within an organization, when decisions are made transparently, it reduces ambiguity, minimizes misunderstandings, and fosters collaboration. However, it is important to know that achieving transparency in leadership is not without its challenges. It requires a cultural shift, a commitment to openness, and a willingness to embrace accountability. This necessitates a change in mindset from viewing transparency as a threat, to embracing it as a fundamental principle for building a healthy team and organization. To summarize today's session, why are vulnerability and transparency essential in leadership? First and foremost, they build trust. When leaders are vulnerable and transparent, they demonstrate their humanity and authenticity. Leaders of this nature communicate that they are not infallible, but rather individuals who are willing to learn and grow alongside their teams. This authenticity fosters trust and respect, laying the foundation for strong, collaborative relationships. Secondly, vulnerability and transparency inspire loyalty and commitment. When leaders are open about their challenges and failures, it creates a safe space for others to do the same. When this is done, employees or team members feel valued and supported, knowing that their leaders are approachable and understanding. This sense of belonging fuels loyalty and encourages employees and team members to go above and beyond in their work. Vulnerability and transparency also drive innovation and problem-solving. In an environment where it's safe to take risks and make mistakes, creativity flourishes. When leaders admit their own shortcomings and encourage others to do the same, it fosters a culture of continuous improvement. Teams feel empowered to experiment, knowing that failure is not met with criticism, but rather with learning opportunities and growth. Vulnerability and transparency also promotes inclusivity and diversity. When leaders are open about their experiences and perspectives, it encourages others to do the same. This exchange of ideas leads to richer discussions and more innovative solutions. When leaders acknowledge their own biases and blind spots, it sets the tone for embracing diversity of thought and valuing every individual's unique contribution. In conclusion, vulnerability and transparency are not signs of weakness but rather strengths that define exceptional leadership. They build trust, inspire loyalty, drive innovation, and promote inclusivity, where no one is left out. As leaders, as we practice vulnerability and transparency, they will prove to not only be vital for our success, but also for the growth and well-being of those that we have the privilege to lead.